Hello, how are we doing? There we go. Oops, that's a bit high. There we go, that's better. How are we doing? Yeah, oops, that's a bit loud. Thank you, Liz. Yes, I was enjoying that music as well. Was having trouble what to put on when I was starting out, when I was like preparing for the stream there, but that sorry, 1 second. That just came together in the last second. I quite like it. How is everyone? How are we all? We all good? We're all having a nice time watching Twitter fall apart in real time. How's the I heard the levels for everyone. For some reason it's seeming a bit loud on the OBS, but it doesn't sound that it's lower on the amp than it normally is. It's fine, cool. Alright. So I guess we might as well get started. Since everyone's here, how many folk are watching right now? Good 24, we got a good number, we can start. So oh, mac and cheese. Oh, mid, that's a shame. I do like a mac and cheese. I had a nice stir fry tonight before dinner, which was good. But wasn't enough, so I'm probably gonna have to eat something else later. First things first, the wine. It's a new wine, one that I've not tried so far this week. So let's see how it is. It is what's this wine called? It's called Porta 6, and it is 12.5%. So, you've not eaten yet, but you're covered in emulsion paint. I'm interested in that scenario. What's going on there? Don't eat the emulsion paint. That's my one bit of advice. Yeah, so 12.5% volume. It was £7. £7.50 in Sainsbury's, which is a bit more expensive than I normally go for, but it was on deal still. So I thought, hey. I might as well treat myself a little £7.50 wine, and it reads, relax with a glass of Porta 6 white. It's an aromatic and sorry, this isn't my I need to do a better wine reading voice for this. A wine reading voice to match the music. Okay. Relax with a glass of Porta 6 white. It's an aromatic and fresh. Aromatic and fresh and lively with a crisp, fruity flavour, making it perfect to sip and enjoy with good friends on a sunny day. Well, it's not a sunny day, it's 8 o'clock in the night in November, so it is pitch black dark. But we can still enjoy it. The rest of this stuff is really boring, but let's see how it tastes. How very bougie of me, I know. Let's see. Back on the glasses this week because my contact lenses were giving me trouble the other day. I thought I'd better give my eyes a rest. Cheers. I'm gonna take another sip to see. It's not worth the £7.50, I'm afraid. This is it's fine. It's not the most disgusting wine we've had on stream, and we've had some shit on stream, but it's not worth £7.50, I'm afraid. This is I hate to bring the vibes down so early, but this wine was a disappointment. back in the glass instead of straight from the bottle. I'm still not above it, but this one, it was corked and everything. It had a fucking cork, and I didn't take out the cork properly, so the label's all jaggy. So I'm not going to drink out the bottle. But yeah, a bit disappointing. Starting off a disappointing stream to talk about. Oh hey Xander, how's it going? Cheers to you. Everybody say hi to Xander. Always a pleasure to see Xander. It's been too long. Yeah, so a disappointing one to start up. To start off a stream talking about two disappointments being cheers, brother. Get that Macho Man Randy Savage vibe on. To talk about two disappointments. Well, is it possible to be disappointed in Elon Musk? I never liked him in the first place. But, you know, I thought Harry Styles seemed like a nice lad. And this movie he made is one of the worst. It's just really bad. We're gonna get into the complaints about that. Let's play some guitar first, though. Alright, let's talk about a terrible movie. A terrible movie. So I don't know if anyone's aware. Has anyone heard of the new Harry Styles police movie? That is, Harry Styles is a police officer who falls in love with another man in Brighton. basically. That's basically the story. It's a movie about a gay police officer, in the 50s, and it's like told between modern, or maybe must be like the 90s or something. Yeah, must be. So like it's told between the future when Harry Styles' character's old and his lover is old and his wife is old, and she's looking back on their life. That's like the sort of narrative framing of it. It's not. I've not seen Don't Worry Darling. The reason we watched this one is because my flatmate watched Don't Worry Darling and thought it was terrible, so thought might be worth watching the Harry Styles one, the police one, and we watched it. I watched it after coming back from a party, during which I was quite drunk, a little bit baked. So I was already not primed to be charitable with this film. And also, before this, we watched the Weird Al Yankovic film, which was fun and good. Though I do think, hello Michelle H. I do think that one of the problems with the Weird Al film is like one of these problems that's endemic to comedies these days. Like, there's just no good camera direction, and how lots of comedies seem to be done these days. It's all done really flat and not very like, not using the camera to do laughs as much, which is a shame. But anyway, that was much better than the Harry Styles movie. So something about it omitting the poly part of the story it was based on made it into a mono love triangle relationship or something. Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't even know if it was love triangle, like, so the first problem with this film is that Harry Styles, I've never seen Harry Styles try to act before. That man cannot act. I don't know why he keeps getting cast in things. He is perhaps one of the worst actors I've ever seen. It's like Sofia Coppola in The Godfather 3, in The Godfather 3 level of bad acting, except he's doing so much more. He's trying to do so much more. Like, he'll be completely monotone and then just randomly slap the table to imply emotion, and he makes films that feel like film. His acting sort of like this. He'll be like, I don't know what to do. I'm really mad. And that's like the tenor of the acting the whole way through. It's painful to watch. It's painful. So already you're in a bad way. But the basically the story of this film is police officer marries a woman and but is also carrying on a relationship with a man, and there's no interrogation throughout the film of a tension between him being a police officer and being gay or bi. It's unclear whether or not he actually has feelings for the woman he's married to. There's a few really bad sex scenes that imply that he doesn't have, he's gay and he's just like living along with this woman, stringing this woman along. Whatever. Where was it? Oh yeah, there's no interrogation of his role as a police officer and a tension between that and being gay. There's scenes of other police officers chasing two different gay characters having sex, and there's interrogation. There's description of the police criminalizing homosexuality in Britain, but that doesn't really, it doesn't relate to Harry Styles' character at all. He's just like, I want to do something good. I wanted to be a good person, so I became a police officer. And no one goes, Harry, I'm going to call him Harry because I can't remember his name because it was bad. No one's ever like, Harry, have you ever considered that maybe you shouldn't be a police officer? Like, maybe you got into the police force because you thought you were doing something good, and then it turns out you're actively arresting people like yourself for no crime except being like yourself. Is there no one's you're not gonna consider that being weird? And there's even like a scene where his boyfriend is having sex with someone, not even having sex, just fucking kissing and touching each other outside, and the police come to like chase them, and I thought it was gonna be Harry Styles, that he would chase his boyfriend as a police officer, and that'd be something interesting. That'd be something worth interrogating, like metaphorically and sort of politically. It'd be something interesting. No, doesn't. Not part of it. Just doesn't play a part in it. And that's the first major flaw of this film. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part of this film is so the narrative device of this is that the wife of Harry Styles is looking after Harry Styles' boyfriend after Harry Styles' boyfriend had a stroke, and she's like confused as to why Harry Styles' old version, Harry Styles played by a different actor, why old Harry Styles isn't coming in to see his friend, so, which is weird. So you're sort of thinking, does she not know that Harry Styles is gay? Is this something that she's going to find out as she starts reading through the diaries of this guy? And she starts reading through the diaries, and it flashes back, and it's like all the times of them keeping their relationship secret from her. But there's also weird scenes where she catches them, like kissing, embracing. So you're like, okay, so does she know, or is she just incredibly dim and doesn't figure out what's going on? But then it comes out that she does actually know that they were lovers. That she does a whole speech to Harry Styles about like old Harry Styles about like, oh, I knew all along, and it's really unfair of you to keep me in this relationship all these years, without fully telling me everything. But I always knew that this. Oh, we're currently talking about My Policeman, the Harry Styles film. Yeah, so she's like, oh, I always knew. So she always knew he was gay, and she always understood what was happening. And it's like this big sort of moment for her, this big cathartic moment of like telling him off for stringing her along. But then she says something which is the most rancid thing I've seen in a ostensibly gay film ever, and that is that at one point in the movie, Harry Styles' boyfriend gets reported to the police for being gay and goes to jail. And as part of her cathartic, self-actualizing speech, the older version of his wife is like, it was me who reported your man to the police. It was me. But that's just as bad. But you did bad things too, like stay married to me for all these years. And I tried to make amends for reporting your man to the police and sending him to prison where he got battered. Probably had to go through chemical sterilization. And she's like, I tried to make amends by looking after him and being nice. But I'm done now. I've done my part. And it follows. This is the climax of the story, and it's like done in this dramatic way, and you're supposed to be like, oh god, she made a mistake, but God bless her. God bless her. She's tried to put it right all these years, and she deserves to be free. And like the final shot of the film is her in like the back of a taxi, looking like into the distance, just like smiling, like I'm finally free. I'm finally free of this, of my marriage. I could have left at any point before reporting a gay man to the police in 1958 or something. I could have, but you know, whatever. So she's framed as like the ultimate sort of protagonist and victor in this scenario, and at no point does old Harry Styles say, you did what? You reported him to you sent him to jail for being a gay man, and you're telling me this now as if I'm the bad guy in this scenario. Because, you know, it's not great to lie about who you are to someone and bring them into like an unhappy marriage. That's not great, but it's not as bad as sending a gay man to jail in 1958. Certainly not. It's repulsive, frankly. It was a totally repulsive movie. Yeah, exactly. The movie about the gay couple is actually a story about a straight woman self-actualizing. Not just a straight woman who sent a gay man to jail. And sorry, the reason that she sent him to jail was because she felt jealous that Harry Styles was spending too much time with him. It's genuinely repugnant. It's a repugnant film. The entire vibe of the film is a gay movie made for like older women, older straight women. That's what the movie. That's who it's aimed for. This is not a movie aimed at gay men or gay women. This is a movie aimed at straight women who are, and it is repugnant. It is a repugnant film that I hate in my bones. And the other thing about it, like, this makes it sound like, I don't want anyone to think that this is something that is so bad it's fun to watch. It's clinically boring. Like I was quite drunk, I was a little bit baked, and I was so bored throughout most of it. Most of it you're so bored. Some, like, the parts where you're not bored, you're just completely outraged by the shit they've put down in this film. It's really, really, really bad. I don't recommend anyone watch that film. And there's no moment of the film that's remotely sexy. There's no moment of the film that's remotely interesting. The acting's terrible. I feel sorry for some of the actors in it who are like, it's like watching the acting sometimes is like watching a professional footballer try to play football with a toddler. And Harry Styles is the toddler in this scenario, because fuck me, man, he does not need to keep trying to be an actor. It's not, bless him, he's got talents. That's not one of them. But yeah, the worst part is that fundamentally repugnant twist, maybe, like, or political bent, which is disgusting. Like, the way I thought it was going to go is, like, I thought that, and it seemed to be set up in the way that, like, Harry Styles' wife looking after this old friend, reading his diaries, would come to the realization that Harry Styles and her old friend were lovers. And then she would be like, how could I be so stupid? Reflecting on maybe her role in not and making someone feel like they couldn't be who they were. but also reflecting on her missed opportunities in life and things like that. And thought that's how it was going to go, predictably, but not outright offensively. But then it becomes clear that she already knew that they were lovers, and then the whole thing about like reporting them to police and all that kicks in, and you're just like, yeah, this is repulsive, confusing time to pop in. Foxy Fanboy, we were just talking about the terrible Harry Styles gay movie, which the lesson of which is like it's actually okay to send gay men to jail if you feel a bit miffed about them, as long as you pay back that horrible act by being friends with them still, and not telling them for years that you sent them to jail. It's bad. It's a bad film. Bad film. But that's not the only bad film that I watched. Not the only bad film that I watched with repulsive politics this weekend, because the next day, nursing a terrible hangover, and making myself some nice poached eggs, avocado toast, and avocado bagel, toasted avocado bagel and mushrooms. I watched Enola Holmes 2, because I was like, what is a film that requires me to have zero thoughts? Because I'm in a bad way right now, and I need to have zero thoughts. So I watched Enola Holmes 2, and most of the way through, I was like, this is no thoughts, whatever. It's all very predictable. We know what's going on. It's a red flag whenever a film uses celebrities that aren't actors. Feels like they fail to get celebrity actors to try to get their big name through a non-actor. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Harry Styles is getting cast in things. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what sort of person sees... Like, a film is a difficult thing to make. It takes a lot of people, and it's like, at least some care goes into it. And to cast Harry Styles in something that you put some degree of care into is bizarre. It's like starting a race by tying your feet together. It doesn't make any sense. So stop hiring Harry Styles to be your actor. He's not good at it. Yeah. So watched Enola Holmes 2. No thoughts, whatever. And then I was watching it, and this lady appeared, this black actress appeared, and started giving Enola Holmes' character some advice. And this was going on while Henry Cavill's Sherlock Holmes was solving a case that was obviously about Moriarty. So this actress comes on screen, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is Moriarty, isn't it? This lady is Moriarty. Like, fine, whatever. Make Sherlock's villain, recast her as a black lady. It doesn't matter, whatever. And then the end scene comes, and the reveal that Moriarty is this lady comes, and she gives a speech which is one of the most tone-deaf speeches to give to a black woman that I have ever seen. This lady comes out. So, for context, the mystery being solved is a person disappears, and it's about the matchstick factories and the matchstick strikes in London. I did watch the Weird Al movie, by the way. I did watch it. I enjoyed it. I can talk about that in a second. I watched the Weird Al movie the night before. Yeah, so it's a matchstick factory. It's a mystery. People are like, why are all these kids dying? Everyone who worked there knew why folk were dying. It wasn't a mystery, but whatever. And the end of the film, this big lord appears, and they're like, oh, we've got evidence that you tried to cover up all the deaths of these female workers in this matchstick factory, and he's like, oh no, that's bad. And then someone says, but wait, there's another crime that's happened here, and it's some of your money has been siphoned out of your accounts and moved to someone else, isn't that right, Moriarty? And the black lady Moriarty steps up and she's like, yes, I'm Moriarty all along. And reminder, the crime's been committed. On the one hand, the Lord character has been systematically covering up the death of hundreds of workers in his factories. Moriarty has been siphoning off some of his money. That's the two standards of crimes that have been uncovered. And this film takes the opportunity not to deal with your Lord man who's murdered lots of folk, hundreds of folk, but to deal with Moriarty who stole some money. And she gives this big speech about the reason that I'm evil, the reason me, Moriarty, is evil is because I'm treated so bad, and I deserve to be evil in this more. And if you just let me be, I will keep being evil. I will keep being evil Moriarty, surrounded by like 4 white lords, Sherlock Holmes and Millie Bobby Brown, who are both like aristocratic, and she's just like, yes, I'm so much better than you, and they're all like, yes, she really is very evil, this black lady who's got a brain is really evil. And she gets taken away by the police. The Lord, by contrast, does not. He's just like, they're just like, we will leave him be, some form of justice will catch up to him, and it will be all okay. And it's like, and he just like walks out, and Moriarty's like taken away, handcuffed by the police, in this like the most tone deaf fucking scenario I've seen in a kids film in a long time. It was astoundingly bad. And like up until that point, I was like, okay, this is all a very predictable affair, whatever. And then that scene happened, I was like, fucking hell. this could have used a second draft at least. And then yeah, I mean, it's realistic to a degree, Michelle H, but it's not critical. They didn't say, oh, it's terrible that the police took her away. They were like, it's so good that the police took her away. She deserves to be in prison right now. She's too dangerous to be allowed to leave. And fucking hell. And then, the sort of epilogue to the story is Millie Bobby Brown's Enola Holmes character going to the factory where where the workers were being poisoned, and basically fomenting a strike on her own. So if you're very shallow, a very, very shallow reading of the situation is like to say, oh, this is a pro-strike film. But it's not, because it's what it really is a completely individualized story about a posh lady coming to workers, telling them that they're too stupid to figure out that by themselves that they're being poisoned, and then then saving them, basically. But you know, and the reality of the match strikes is that they were doing all that work themselves. They weren't passive, they were fighting back all the time, all these women. They didn't need a posh lady to come in and save them. They were doing that work themselves. And this movie is just like, yeah, let's get the posh lady to do it, and that'll be fine, whatever. And I was thinking, like, if you wanted to tell a story about that thing, the match workers' strikes in London, why would you not? You could easily like have Enola Holmes be hired to find a missing person, and the missing person is just someone who's gone into hiding because they're organising strikes or whatever, and then she's confronted, partially to come in and say, yeah, fair enough, and then she's confronted with like her role and her assumptions about people, but instead she's just every character who's of a lower class than her is entirely as either passive or, like Moriarty, evil. And both those films really have highlighted to me the need to ban liberals from making films, because they just cannot be trusted. They just cannot be trusted. Yeah, Ian, so compare that, like, it's outrageous that Guy Ritchie has a more sort of sound politics in his Sherlock Holmes films than whoever wrote Enola Holmes. And make, like, yeah, fucking make Moriarty a horrible war profiteer. A professor at a university, a horrible war profiteer. That's solid. Even in the first of Guy Ritchie's ones, the villain is a aristocrat. Whatever. Yeah, the Guy Ritchie films are quite fun. Oh, this wine is not great. Yeah, those were the two bad films I watched last weekend. They both sucked. The policeman one was definitely worse. Oh, so the other thing about Enola Holmes, relevant to the last video, is Enola Holmes' boyfriend, who again is a lord. This film's obsession with the aristocracy is baffling, but he's a lord, and he's like, oh, I'm not a real man. I don't know how to be a real man. And then his moment of self-actualization in the film was him learning how to punch someone in the face. And this is telegraphed. There's a close-up of him closing his fist in that way they do in films, where it's like, and he punches a guy in the face, and then he looks at his fist and he's like, I'm a man now. And you're like, fucking hell. The gender politics are fucked. They're not good. It's like, hey, are you a kind, sensitive man? Ignore that he's a lord, but are you a kind, sensitive man? Well, you're not a real man until you learn how to punch. It's basically the story of his character arc in that film. Yeah, bad film. The Weird Al Yankovic film, by comparison, was really fun. I'd recommend that. Daniel Radcliffe doing a great job. Lots of fun polka jokes. Again, though, there's a lost art in comedy directing, I think, which is a shame. But of those three films, the Weird Al one, definitely one to watch. Shall we make a new track and then we can talk about Elon Musk, because that shit's very funny. Halloween was good. We had a party for Halloween. Made some pumpkins. The pumpkins, I had to clean them up last week because they started rotting horribly. Just yesterday I got an email from our housing association giving us a row for having Halloween decorations up because it was unsafe. But Halloween was fun. We had a good time. My flatmate made Negroni Spagliatos with Prosecco in them, which were not nice. Oh, the thing fucking slaps. The thing is so good. I'd watch the thing every. Yeah, Halloween was fun. Hope you all had a good Halloween. There we go. Yeah, Halloween was fun. Halloween was a fun time. I do enjoy Halloween's one of those things like, if you don't get something to do, you always like feel shit. You always miss out on something. So it's good. So we figured just to have a party ourselves. No, I don't. I did not listen to the Radio 4 program by James Naughty and Ron DeSantis. I did not watch that. All right. Who wants to talk about Elon Musk? That's the other thing I had on my brain to talk about today. Terrible films and Elon Musk. The two things. Things are going shit, aren't they? I just saw earlier today that let's talk about Musk. So, I mean, Twitter's gonna die, right? Which is, swings and roundabouts. Musk widow. My time on Twitter has been much better than most people's. I have met lots of friends through Twitter. I use it to make a living. I don't understand why this is so loud today. So many people are going to be screwed over by how to do your work. It's pretty essential at this point for me. Not just for YouTube stuff, but in academic worlds. If you've got more than 10,000 Twitter followers, you are more likely to get a job because you're seen as being a draw to the department. So genuinely, not just for YouTube, but for further career stuff, Twitter dying is fucked. Fucked for me personally. And TikTok's not as good. It's just not the same. And I'm not going to Mastodon because my phone's in German and because I'm trying to learn German, and I downloaded Mastodon and was confronted by its horrendous onboarding experience. And it wasn't just horrendous, it was in German, and I just had no idea what I was doing. So I was like, I don't know, I don't know what to do here, so I just didn't do it. But it has been incredibly funny. So it's on the negative side, losing a bunch of stuff that's relevant for career. It's a place where I have made and continue to talk to lots of friends. Including my current flatmate, who we first met over Twitter, and lots of people who were round at the house last week for a party. Lots of friends. So that's bad. On the plus side, watching Elon Musk just crash and burn it's delicious, isn't it? It's like a tasty morsel for me. Just every time he posts a new tweet that's him fucking up, it's just like, delicious. What a delicious little morsel is this one? What new little delicious new thing has he got for me? And Tesla stocks falling apart. He has the best comparison I've seen is Musk being Homer Simpson in the episode of The Simpsons where Homer tries to design a car and fucks up magnificently. That's just what Musk is. And it's beautiful to watch. And I feel so vindicated because about 10 years ago, when I was first starting out in university, I had a big argument with someone about Elon Musk. This was like, this would have been like peak Elon Musk, Reddit, fucking time. And casting calls on, or exclusive on Twitter now, that's fucked. Yes, this was about 10 years ago when Elon Musk was big, and I had this big sort of argument with someone who was like, oh, Elon Musk is he's a genius. He's like forefront of artificial intelligence and engineering. And I was like, nah, don't believe it. He's not a genius. He's a billionaire, and I just don't trust him. And I didn't like. He's the monorail man of our. I don't even think he's the monorail man of our day, Altair, because like monorail man was convincing, at least. Elon Musk is not. Elon Musk is convincing to a very, or was convincing to a very small number of government officials, and that was it. And now I don't know what. He's not even convincing to advertisers anymore. Yeah, he was a billionaire, and I'm glad that my political instincts at the tender age of 18. I'm glad that my political instincts at the tender age of 18 were good enough to see like, oh, he's a billionaire. Yeah, no, he's bad. Fuck that guy. I'm not gonna assume that anyone who's a billionaire is good. So it's fun to be vindicated 10 years later. But yeah, I hate fucking Discord. I hate Tumblr. I don't get them. I don't want to learn a new system. It's gonna be shit if Twitter just straight up dies, but it seems like it's going to. And the thing about reminds me of a video from 2015 called Boy and Bye, titled "The Guy Who Is Saving the World." Oh my god, that's not great. One of my least favourite things about Elon Musk, and this is a long list, is when he talks about futurism and he like talks about going to Mars, it's so like, it's not futurism. It's so foreclosed. It's so like, the whole point of futurism is imagining a world which is different from our own. And Elon Musk's brand of futurism is, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Mars. Things are gonna be almost exactly the same. There's going to be the same divisions of labour. We need to leave Earth, and we can maybe we'll do production on Mars and keep Earth clean, and we'll move people to Mars to do the work while we enjoy stuff on Earth. And his futurism is like, it's designed with a lack of imagination, just embedded within it, and I really hate it. It's so shit, it's so grim, and it's such a reflection of who he is as a person that he can't imagine. Elon Musk can't even imagine fully automated luxury communism. Elon Musk just imagines capitalism in a different place, and it's fucked. Like, and people keep saying, being like, oh, we need futurists. He's not a futurist, he's a presentist who draws a picture of Mars and puts it up on his fridge now and then. I really fucking hate Elon Musk. I hate Discord. No. Oh my god, Al. Ailsa McIntosh, when I had my autism assessment, the woman said it's okay to be autistic. Elon Musk is autistic, and I was like, let's not. God, yeah, really, a real slap in the face, that one. It's okay, John. It's okay to be Scottish. Um, it's okay to be Scottish. Adam Smith was Scottish. No. Oh God, the fucking bots are back. Sorry, I've dealt with bots away. Yeah. So that's Elon Musk. We've dealt with that. Alright, I'm gonna finish this glass of wine. God, this wine is bad. It started off not that bad, and now it's getting worse. I'm gonna finish this glass. Then I'm gonna change up the music, and then yeah, anyone got anything that they're looking to talk about? Any burning questions? Any topics that they want to explore? See you later, Mithro. Good to have you. Yeah, so anything that you want to talk about, post in chat while I build some sort of new track. Let's see what we come up with. I don't watch Bake Off, so you can talk about Bake Off all you want. Hello, Ellie. Alright. Yeah. That's not bad. Why is things... Glass 2 of the 2. Oh, yeah, hey Sinan, how's it going? You've missed us talking about the terrible Harry Styles movie and Elon Musk, and we're just going to move on to some YouTube chats requested topics. The editing dojo. I'm gonna be on to the editing dojo next week. I think I'm gonna try and film a video tomorrow. If I can't manage tomorrow, then it'll be on Monday, on globalization. And then I was thinking it was gonna be a shorter video. Oh god damn, that's hellish. Could not do that. Yeah, my next one's gonna be on globalization. Should be out next week. I was hoping for it to be kind of shorter, but it's like 4,000 words long, which is not short. This should be fun. It'll be a fun wee one. The whiteboard is returning for the next video. Doing a silly little bit with the whiteboard. Any tip for newer creators? I'll come back. Oh, I've got another fucking dating app. Here we go. Yeah, so let's see what folk are chatting about. My idea of utopian future, am I on board with fully automated luxury communism? I'm not on board with a fully automated luxury communism. I've been actually thinking about reading Bastani's book so I can do a review of it and critique it adequately. But I think fully automated luxury communism is at this point anything... I mean, it's just a myth. Like, it's not valuable to any sort of organizing principle at this time, and probably is something that the folks like Coffin and Maupin would kind of be on board with, because it denies or opens itself up to the denial of the requirement for degrowth, and to deal with climate change. I don't think fully automated luxury communism is something that is in any way on the horizon as something that is possible in the future. I think that we in the global north have to be prepared to completely to change our way of life so that it's no longer a requirement for that way of life that we consume commodities made by those in the global south to have a good life. And I don't know what possible world there would be in the close future to have the level of commodity production that is required for fully automated luxury communism that isn't tied to exploitation, global warming and imperialism. Just don't see how it's possible. And I don't necessarily have a utopian ideal for the future. It's not how I sort of view my politics. I don't start from a utopian vision and then build on how to get there. I tend to sort of just view what injustices occur currently and what can we do to overcome them. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with having a utopian future, but I think any future is going to be the product of the people who live at that time, and if you want to make utopia, you've got to try to, I guess, live your utopian ideals in the time in which you exist, and in this time that's just revolutionary politics. So I don't have a utopian vision, but I don't subscribe to fully automated luxury communism. I have been meaning to read the book so I can do a book review on it, and I'm going to do that. Maybe next month's book review will be on fully automated luxury communism. What do I think of Enough is Enough? I think Enough is Enough is a wasted opportunity at this point. That ostensibly seems to want to join up social movements and unions, which is that's a good goal to have, to join up social movements and labour unions. But it's not doing it in a particularly useful way. It's just doing a bunch of rallies, and a rally at this point is fucking useless. If you want to join up social movements and labour unions, then it should be on things like rent strikes, which there has been a history of joining up labour unions and community unions and social movements and rent strikes, or should be combining. I mean, unions should be striking, trying to do work in favour of transgender solidarity in the UK right now, which is directly under threat, or joining up with anti-deportation stuff. That's valuable work. I don't think the Enough is Enough campaign is particularly... The idea of it is good, to join up social movements and labour unions, but it's not been executed in any way that I think is particularly useful. A rally and a protest it's not useful at this time. It doesn't do anything. I don't think it's building power. Maybe they're doing stuff behind the scenes. I've not seen it. But it's telling that Enough is Enough has had very little impact compared to something like Just Stop Oil, which is doing much more, and I think much more good than Enough is Enough is. Bake Off. I don't watch Bake Off, so I don't really know about the finals or anything. Tips for newer creators. So I'm gonna read the book because I want to write that review because I think it'd be fun. Tips for newer creators. I guess don't try to chase the algorithm, because that's a fool's errand. If you want to make videos, you're just gonna have to do it in a way, or whatever creative endeavor you're doing from. You kind of just have to go into it assuming that you're not gonna you're likely not gonna be able to make it into a career for a long time. Like, I've been doing this for over 3 years now, and I still can't like fully live on it. It's a difficult thing to do. So if you're doing it, do it because it's something that you think you'd find fun and interesting to do, rather than something that you want to do for making it into like some sort of career. Because it's a crowded field and a difficult thing, but it's fun to do. The reason I started doing it is because I enjoyed doing it and it was fun. And if I didn't enjoy doing it and didn't think it was fun, I wouldn't do it. Because it's the rewards of it are much more on the feeling like you've done something enjoyable, and I like making videos and I like talking about shit more than any sort of career-oriented goal. There's other things like Thought Slime did a video a while back on. I think Thought Slime did a video that I watched just before I started, about 3 years ago, on like tips for folk, and one of them was just like, assume all of your content is going to be bad for a while. And looking back on mine, I think there's a solid 6 months to a year where I think all of my work is not very good, is bad, and there's only like, I wouldn't recommend people watch videos from that far back because they're just not great. But you just gotta assume that the work you do at that point isn't going to be very good, and that's fine. Just fucking make it. It's fine. That's probably not great advice, but that's all I can think of. Let's see. You're right, fully automated luxury communism is basically unachievable outside of Star Trek, or at least with any kind of time frame. Yeah. Thank you, Akira. Prefigurative. So there's, in terms of like living the revolution, I think things like, I think this is where anarchist influence stuff is really useful. With prefigurative politics and living utopian stuff, is things like abolitionist politics, which has a big sort of analytic and theoretical and praxeological debt to anarchist politics, is really useful for living a utopian. I mean, it's not utopian, but living like a more utopian vision through your revolutionary pacts as is. And I think a lot of labour unions and more traditional labour movements can take from that, because a lot of the time, and this is particularly the case with more established unions, but a lot of the time they react to the political context in which they exist instead of try to forge it, and they end up becoming arms of the state, essentially, arms of capital, where they no longer organise the working class, but they facilitate the social relation between the working class and capital. And if a labour union wants to break that, then it has to, in some sense, live a prefigurative politics in its praxis, and that's something that I think has to be that is useful from anarchist tendencies. And this is me on my anarchists. To me, I'm not an anarchist, but anarchists to me are like I'm like a friend of anarchists who's like, stop bullying them, just stop bullying the anarchists. Like, I know that sometimes they're wrong, but it's fine. Stop bullying them, they've got good ideas. I mean, being a content creator is basically a second job when you start out. Being a content creator at this point for me is still a second job. I need to get a third job. It's not going to be a second job, it's going to be a third job soon enough. At which point things are going to be tough. It's a difficult, I can pay my rent with what we're doing, but I'm still not able to live on it. Pay my rent is good going. I'm very pleased that I can pay my rent, but it's not profitable. It's not a profitable industry to be in. There's probably a critique of it. What do I think about 80s hair metal band? Enough is enough. That feels like a joke question. There cannot be a real band called Enough is Enough. Oh yeah, because I was talking about Enough is Enough. That's it. I get you. I originally did a YouTube video to call it My Enemies and Haters. Doing stuff out of spite, fully support spite. Spite is a good motivator. If not an anarchist, I identify with any particular label or ideology. I mean, the sort of analytical tradition that most of my work comes from at this point is social reproductive theory, which is Marxist feminist stuff. But I generally refer to myself as a Marxist, because I don't think it necessarily matters, Marxist or communist, whatever. It doesn't matter. Because I don't have like a utopian ideal of where I think like politics should go, and like I don't think it's, as long as my analysis is sound, I don't think it matters to me. Whatever. And some of those social reproduction theorists, they have more connection to the to anarchist work, because a lot of it comes out of the autonomous tradition in Italy, which has often been deeply suspicious of the state, driven from Gramscian analysis as well as anarchist work from like Malatesta and stuff like that. So there is some degree of intellectual trajectory and history there, but yeah. I mean, yeah, the present is where we are, and what we're doing is what matters. And again, I don't think it's bad to have a utopian ideal for how the future should be run. I don't think that's necessarily bad. It's just not how I operate. I'm getting bored of this music, so I'm going to change it up. I want to do something. I'm going to do something disco. Nice to see you, Altair. Have a good evening yourself. Yeah, that's a fun one. Thank you. Hello, Tinfoil Pain. Nice to see you. I've lost track of what we were talking about before, but yeah, how are we doing? I've got nothing else planned. We've covered the plan. For God's sake, I don't know why everything's so loud today. Let's see if I can turn it down here. Let's see. Is that better? Yeah, less peaking there. That's better. Yeah. We've covered all of the terrible. Oh, that's cool, Birdie. You should share that here. And wherever you want to share that, that'd be very fun. Very cool. For anyone who doesn't know, Birdie is very good artist, and you should follow for some good art. I really liked that drawing that you did of me. It was very fun. But yeah, we've run out of the points we were going to hit today, which was the terrible police movie, and Elon Musk's disastrous acquisition of Twitter, and the thing about Elon Musk is much like Tesla and his Tesla cars, he just really wants to make Twitter crash and burn. So that's fun. But yeah, that's where we were hitting the things we were hitting today. He's a pyromaniac. He loves just watching things burn. It's funny. There's there's that trend a while back of people being like, oh, Elon Musk isn't the he's not the Tesla. He wants to be Tesla, but actually he's Edison. He's not even Edison. Edison was more successful than Elon Musk is. He was a better showman. Like, in 10 years, Elon Musk is going to be just known as a joke. No one's going to remember him as any sort of... At least Edison managed to fucking... what's his name? Edison managed to get his reputation for a while, be viewed as like a great genius for like 100 years or so. Musk managed 10. He's a pale imitation. No, I'll be sticking around on Twitter until the site crashes and burns. I'm gonna be like the fucking orchestra on the Titanic. I'll be posting away until that shit goes fully underwater. That site is made specifically for me. I'm good at Twitter. I'm not gonna leave it. It's gonna die before I leave it. We will be playing our sweet song on the fucking deck of that sinking ship. Yeah, exactly. That's where we'll be. That's where all the true posters will be there until the bitter end. Unfortunately. Gentlemen, it's not been an honor. I would say, an honor is a strong word. Gentlemen, it's been an experience. It's been a time. And that's all we can say in the end. It's been a time. It's so... The charging for verification thing is so funny to me. Because I've already come across... There's already been, like... It's actually quite an interesting, like, for digital sort of anthropology, seeing how quickly people have latched on to the notion that if you pay for verification, you're a incurable nerd. Like just like there's no respect for anyone who's just verified because they paid for it. Like, I've remembered something I was going to talk about actually. That's some fucking drama shit, which is just funny to me. But what's the guy's name? It's like one of the Peter Coffin sort of orbiters. Let me find the person's account because 'cause I can't remember their name. The person was like Fox Green. That's it. It's one of the not Jackson Hinkle. Jackson. I can't forget Jackson Hinkle's name because it sounds like it sounds like a billiard ball in your mouth. Jackson Hinkle. You can't it just sounds like there's something already in there when you're pronouncing his name. No one can forget his name. No, it was like Fox. It was Fox Green. One of those. One of the Peter Coffin orbiters. Talking about like fucking Starbucks unionization being a class collaboration with the ruling class or some absolute horseshit. And someone pointed out that person had paid for their verification, and it's just like it's such a dunk. It's like it's such a fucking dunk. Like, imagine just tweeting something and then someone just replies, "Oh, you paid for verification." It's like there's no coming back from that, because why would you pay for verification? There's no reason. Especially if you're like a couple thousand follower account who's just makes shitty videos on the internet. Yeah, so that shit's very interesting, just how quickly the notion of being verified has moved from like, oh, so you know, if you're verified, you're like a journalist or someone, and you can make fun of them for being a journalist or a blue tick, to being like, oh, you have notions above yourself that you're important enough to try and trick people into thinking that you're important, and that's very funny to me. I enjoy that a lot. Birdie's saying, I think I'll wait to see how badly the work gets suppressed before I decide to leave or not. If it actually becomes impossible to show off my art without paying $8, then I'm out. I mean, yeah, I'm not paying Twitter $8. I'm not gonna do that. I have one subscription service, and that's to Dropout, because I like Dimension 20, and that's $5. I'm not paying more than I pay for my good D&D content to fucking post on Twitter with a verified account. Elon Musk can shove that right up his arse. Just not gonna happen. Yes, so, you know what I watched? Talking about weird... Yeah, Dropout's a good deal. $5 a month for Hook Growl. For yeah, me too, Birdie. $5 a month for all that stuff on Dropout is a good deal. Like, not just Dimension 20. Game Changer is also good. That's the only two stuff I watch on it, but there's so much stuff and it's worth it. But I'm not going to pay that to post. I have some degree of self-respect. So, talking of Peter Coffin and his ilk. Sorry, their ilk. Does I get really quiet? 1 second. Am I still quiet? Am I still quiet? That should be fine now. Sorry, the sound is really weird today. Directional mic, maybe. Okay, I don't think it's directional because I can track how loud it is on the OBS, so I don't know what's going on. So it might be just a loose connection in the mic. Yeah. So I watched, out of morbid curiosity, I watched Caleb Maupin's response video, his great return video, after it being revealed that he was trying to start a cult. And that shit is fucking weird. For anyone who doesn't know, Caleb Maupin of the Center for... I like it. I mean, it wasn't really. It was just because I needed some background noise, and because I was writing a lecture and was like, I need some background noise, something I don't need to pay much attention to, and I was like, this will be funny, so I put that on. There's no psychic damage inflicted on me because it's genuinely really, really funny. It's utterly bizarre and really weird. Yeah, that was the reason why I ended up watching it. Was Soph and Mildred's stream on it. I didn't watch their stream, but I saw that they'd done one. And oh, Casey, that's not the weirdest. Casey's saying is there's a bit where he's like spanking is a normal bit of history. It's like of American life. It's like, yeah, but that's like the spanking itself is not the issue here, Caleb. Nobody's kink shaming you. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, let me explain what happens for anyone who doesn't know. Caleb Maupin, bizarre character, a man with zero charisma yet somehow a platform. I have more subscribers than him though, so fuck you, Caleb. Fucking check it out, winner over here. Caleb Maupin is like the least charismatic man in the world who runs a YouTube channel. He works for the Russian government for doing state broadcasting, and runs the Center for Political Innovation or something. That's the name of it. Some sort of really vulgar Marxism is a strong term for what he does, because vulgar Marxism has some basis in Marxism, and Caleb Maupin doesn't. But a while back, about a month or two back, it was revealed that he had been doing a bunch of shady stuff, manipulating people with money. Yeah, kind of a LaRouche guy. But that's not very accessible to anyone who doesn't know who LaRouche is. Basically, he's kind of right wing pretending to be he's right wing pretending to be left wing, basically. And he did this. He tried to set up this fucking political organization and used his authority and his position to do some really, really horrible stuff. Like, a lot of the stuff is really not funny because it's exploitative, and it's abuse, and it's horrendous, and that side of it is really not funny. What is funny is that he's done this video about it, and he at one point in this video says, he says, "I'm not making any direct accusations here, but isn't it strange that the day after this document accusing me of all this abuse came out, that the daughter of Alexander Duggan was murdered?" And it's like, he doesn't say anything there, but he sort of implies that the same people who killed the daughter of Alexander Duggan, who's like a fucking weird far right character in Russia, he implies that the people who killed his daughter, were the same people who released or fabricated this evidence against him, and it's incredible. Like, that is such an incredibly funny reach to go. It's be like, you know, I am not. Some people have accused me of being abusive, but have you considered that Alexander Duggan's daughter was murdered, probably by the Russian state? I mean, probably by the Russian state. But you know, but in the end of the day, it's probably some 20-year-olds who were being abused by myself, who were in contact with the people who murdered Alexander Duggan's daughter. And then he tries to draw a connection between these people and like this professor who does work on cults by saying this document that they released used some of the language of this author who does lots of work on cults. And like, instead of there are two explanations that you could come to for that. The first, which is the one Mr. Maupin comes to, with his vibe of a bank manager who's on the edge of going on a fucking Michael Douglas falling down style rampage through the streets of LA. With his general vibe, he comes to the conclusion that these people are in direct contact with this professor who does work on cults because he advises the bread tube folk. He's not been in contact with me so far, so that's all I'm saying. And because they use similar language, then this guy is creating a conspiracy. He's at the head of a conspiracy to take down Caleb Maupin. So that's one explanation. The other explanation is that a world expert in cults might have some insight into how cults operate, and if you become aware that you might be joining a cult, you might read his work and then describe the situation in similar terms because he is a world expert in cults. Or alternatively, because he's such a world expert, he might be a defining academic in the field, so his terms just get used in the field, and then people pick those concepts up in popular language because that's just what happens. But it must just be a conspiracy, of course, because Caleb Maupin, with his 24,000 to my 25,900 subscribers, is obviously a very important figure that has to be taken down by the CIA and cults. Caleb Maupin, with his 20 members of the CPI, less than any renters union in this city that I live in, has to be taken down by the CIA because he's so very important. Yes. So, oh god, so many thoughts. Maupin really thinks we're all way. Oh, I'm gonna get to these. Let me order these thoughts. So, Maupin thinks that BreadTube. I'm not sure he would consider me in that because maybe I'm not big enough, but whatever. He did block me, but he thinks that BreadTube is all in contact with each other. We all have group chats, and we're all connected to. We're all being advised by governments and prominent academics in specific fields. He thinks that it's all a big conspiracy theory. Now, I hate to say it, I do have some group chats with some big YouTubers. There is to some extent fucking BreadTube group chats. There just is. Some of us are friends and we have group chats, and that is just a funny thing that exists. So he's right to a degree. We have group chats. A lot of us are friends. Not all of us, and people are friends with different folk, but you know, it exists. What doesn't exist is any connection between these friends who send each other TikToks, and the CIA. Just like, I mean, I think it'd be very funny if I was in the employ of the CIA, because firstly, they need to pay me more. I've been doing so much work for the CIA and laughing at Maupin that they need to give me that cash. CIA, come on, give me that cash. Give me that cash. I need it. If the CIA gives me some cash, I'll buy some better wine. Right? That's just very funny that he thinks that a group chat and that people being friends with each other means there's a big conspiracy. And he seems to like group people together. Like, he seems to think that folks like Vosh and what he calls like the bread tube sphere are all like friends with each other. I'm just gonna say, if you paid any attention, then you know that's obviously not true, Caleb. That's obviously not the case. But he's not paying attention. He doesn't care. His fedjacketing is gross, and it's weird. I mean, nobody thinks he's important. Nobody thinks he's a threat. Caleb Maupin's never fomented a single thing in his life. He thinks he's a fucking revolutionary when he. I'll have to scroll back to get to reorder my thoughts. But there's a part in this video where he says he works for the Russian media. He works for the Russian state media, and therefore does lots of anti-imperialist work. And I want to know, and it made me really curious, what Caleb Maupin's view of imperialism is. Because Russia, I mean, it's not in the imperial core, but it's not anti-imperialist in any sense. Because in this stage of capitalism that we're in, an imperialist dimension of production is the exporting of production from the global north to the global south, and the domination of the global north over the global south via neo-colonial, neo-imperial, as well as military relations. Not everything's military relations. It's a relation of production, which is a basic point in Lenin, that imperialism is an offshoot of production. And he seems, and it's really weird to say, I work for the Russian state, which is not a peripheral state in the sense that it is the location where a lot of global production is based, because it's not. It's at best semi-peripheral, maybe newly imperial, depending on your sort of world of whatever view of imperialism or whatever definition you're using. But it's certainly not anti-imperialist. The Russian state is not actively involved in overturning global capitalist relations. So working for the Russian state is not an anti-imperialist action. It's working for a fucking petty far-right government, and it's. I just thought that was a funny wee detail. I mean, people can conflate anti-Americanism with anti-imperialism. I will say, conflating anti-Americanism with anti-imperialism, you're probably going to get quite far, because a lot of the time they are kind of a useful heuristic, unless you're describing yourself as anti-imperialist when you work for fucking Russia. Yes, he named himself so this was the other thing. And the other thing was hello, what's therapy? We're just talking about this is my worst impulses that I am I am feeding at this point, talking about Caleb Maupin. But yeah, we're talking about Caleb Maupin, and he describes at the end of this video where he's like addressing the controversy, like a fucking Notes app apology, except he doesn't actually apologize. He in fact tries to. It's really gross in some stages. He tries to dismiss the allegations from some people because the people who are making the allegations are unsavory characters, or they're still addicted to drugs, or they just want clout, and like, you know, that's just your classic covering for abuse tactic. There's nothing fun about it. It's just horrible. But part of that, he talks about they've relaunched his think tank, and he was like, I'm no longer involved in the money side of it. No, I don't have an administrative role. I just have an I have a constitutionally written in role as the ideological leader of this. And it's like, that's the most cult ass thing that you could possibly say. Like, if you want to beat the cult allegations, describing yourself as the ideological leader as written in the Constitution, just like hire a media. Like, surely you can hire a media consultant to be like, Caleb, my man, you're beating allegations that you're trying to start a cult. Do not label yourself as the ideological leader of this group, and do not put it in the constitution of this think tank, because that's fucking cult shit, man. Come on, like basic shit. Like, hire one media consultant. Some poor person has got to wade through that shit. Have we talked about the sex worker component of the allegations against him? We've not really gotten into the actual allegations in depth, because they're just horrible, and it is just I don't want to dive into the allegations, because it's just really horrible to talk about. I'm working on the assumption that he is guilty of doing a bunch of really horrible stuff to a bunch of really horrible people and exposing them to a bunch of really horrible conditions, like forcing them into sex work. And yeah, really horrible stuff. He's not a good person. He's very funny to laugh at, but he's a really bad person, and should be treated as such. Listen, I'm not trying to start a cult, but it says right here in the Dialectics of Communism that I'm Lord and Savior of this movement. I figured, Casey, it was dialectics, yeah. Yeah, there was a really funny bit in that, in his addressing the controversy video, where I'm gonna get slightly conspiratorially minded here, but it's funny, so it's fine. At the end of the video, they sort of do like credits or whatever, and after the credits, off camera, hello Valentine, what have you missed? You've missed us talking about a terrible Harry Styles movie, which had the worst gay politics of something I've ever seen. You missed us laughing at Elon Musk, and we are just coming to the end of chatting about terrible Caleb Maupin. So at the end of his non-apology video, a woman off screen says, "Oh, hello, are you Caleb Maupin? It's so good to see you. You're such an inspiration. I love your work. Keep doing what you're doing." And he's just like, "Yes, thank you." And like, so I have been recognized in public before. That, not very often, and that is deeply, deeply suspicious. I am. This is conspiratorial to a degree. I am convinced that's fake as shit. Like I do not believe someone came up to him and was like, "Oh, Caleb Maupin, I love you and I love all your work. Keep doing what you're doing." While he was filming, I just think that is a load of horse shit. I 100% believe it's horse shit. Casey, when I was in the World Transformed a few weeks ago in Liverpool, I so I've been to the World Transformed a couple of times. Last year, on a much smaller platform, but I had people who'd come up to me and they'd be like, "Oh, John, it's really nice to meet you. I really like your videos. You've got such a considered view." This year, when I was at World Transformed, people would just run up to me and they would scream "Chicken Run," and then they'd walk off. And Chicken Run's good. I'm glad of that. But what you just said does happen to me. I mean, it is funny. I am hoping when the new Chicken Run comes out, it should be in December. I'm going to do a video on that. That's going to be hopefully my December video will be a Chicken Run video. Right, let's do another piece of music. Sorry, I didn't like that one. We're going to start again. I also forgot to say, after we do this, I'm going to talk about, I went to see Totoro as a sort of theatre production with a bunch of puppets the other night. We should talk about that, because that was great fun. How many people were controlling the cat bus? So there was, I think 4 people were controlling the cat bus. The cat bus was like a big inflatable thing. That was that had like it was kind of like a Chinese dragon the way that they were doing it. They were sort of inside it and they had like bars and they were moving the arms like that. It was really cool. I was like skeptical of how effective the Totoro could be as a play, because so much of the imagery is like wild, like things like the cat bus and the scene where Totoro makes the flowers grow, makes the plants grow and all that stuff. So I was skeptical about it. Yeah, it was so good. I really liked it. We were right up at the back, right up at the top in the Barbican Centre, so that our view wasn't great, but it did mean that, like, we missed lots of the staging we couldn't see. But the puppetry was amazing. When they had a scene where chickens came out, and I lost my mind. People like. So my favourite Muppets, right, are the chickens. I love the chickens. The chickens are so good. Everything about them is funny. There's nothing that isn't funny about the Muppet chickens. And I will stand by this as them being the fucking platonic ideal of Muppetry. The chickens are so good. And Totoro had a bunch of chickens and the people doing chicken voices, and it was so fucking good. I was having the time of my life. I was like distracting other people by laughing too hard at these little chicken puppets. It was so fucking good. I love Totoro so much. But it was really good because they had the puppeteers where they sort of broke the fourth wall quite a lot, and allowed. Which was good because everyone can see them, and it allowed the puppeteers to have some sort of interaction with the audience, which plays into the whole sort of themes of Totoro, where the whole story is kind of a performance of the father to, or at least it can be interpreted as a performance of the father to try and distract the kids from their mum being sick. So having the puppeteers break the fourth wall to remind you that it's a play, it kind of plays into that sort of blending of what is magic and what is a story, in quite an effective way, and I really enjoyed that stuff. But there was the moment that hit me the hardest in the whole play is when they were doing the bows, and all the puppeteers came out and everything, and then Totoro came out, and the actor who was playing the father, got out the microphone, and it was revealed that he was doing the voice of Totoro's roars the whole time, and I was just like, ugh. I was like, tears. Not just like one stupid moment where the dad just reveals that he's been doing the Totoro roars, and I was like, oh god, oh. It was so sad. It's so good. Yeah, it was just really good, and the puppetry was really good. Like, they didn't have to do as much. They didn't have to go as hard with the puppets than they did. Like, the first Totoro that you see is massive, like gigantic, and they didn't need to make it that big, but they were like, yeah, we're gonna fucking make this Totoro giant. Cause wonder if you can see it out the corner. See that poster there is Totoro. That's a Totoro with his umbrella and with with the daughter, with her umbrella as well. I like this movie. But Totoro in that poster is like twice the size of the little girl. It's like, yeah, that's fine. You don't need to make Totoro big, but the puppeteers were like, we're gonna make Totoro 20 feet tall. We're gonna make Totoro bigger than we should reasonably make Totoro. And I respect them so hard for that. It was really, really good. I've seen quite a lot of plays this past few months. Just been managed to get cheap tickets, and that Totoro is one of the best I've seen. I think it's sold out now, so folk in London, unfortunately. But if in the future you get a chance to see Totoro performed by this collaboration between the Royal Shakespeare Company and Studio Ghibli, you should definitely take up. It's fucking magical. There was a moment where I forgot that one of the puppets, one of the smaller Totoro puppets, was a puppet, and was just like forgetting. Like, I was just like, oh, that's a weird reaction for that wee thing to happen. I was like, oh wait, it's a puppet. The amount of character that came through in the eyes, it was so good. It was so good. Yeah, so that was something. That's something interesting that I've done this week. Next week's gonna be fun. I'm going to see. Has anyone ever heard of the band Bellowhead? They're an English trad band that do a lot of like, they take traditional English like folk songs and they're like if Mumford and Sons were good and respected traditional music, instead of shat all over it like Mumford and Sons do. So I'm going to see them on Monday, and that's going to be really fun. It was so good. Yeah, it was really, really good. That was the first time I'd ever been to the Barbican Centre as well. So that was really it was a really good day. Well worth it. Would thoroughly recommend. We saw a really good Aidan Sullivan. It's Bellowhead. I'll type it out in chat. I saw them 10 years ago in Tea in the Park when I was 18, and then they broke up soon after that. And this is just the return tour. I'm quite excited. They put on a good show. All right, I'm gonna do another track, and then we'll return. anyone got anything else that they want to cover on this stream so far? Any other questions or topics that they want to cover? Because I've still got another glass of wine in me. This is the last of the wine. We're approaching the messy hours in which I might go off on one. So any questions or any topics you can throw at me to get me chatting. All right, so we've got some stuff to talk about. Let's take it in order. What do I think of Descartes? I think that Descartes has been. What I can say about Descartes is that the effect of Descartes' epistemologies has been not necessarily good on the general field of epistemology, and has the separation of the whole from of the self from the whole, and of the brain from the body, is perhaps not the best thing about. And I think we're still living with the consequences of Cartesian thought to this day. A lot of decolonial work is really good for deconstructing that, and I have the video on debate. I've got a wee critique of Descartes in there. Why do I think Descartes is so hit and miss? I do. Some people like Descartes. I find it. I like doing. It's that there's different communities, and I think that's the same problem with Mastodon, is that you've got to filter yourself into different places, whereas Twitter, you can just be like, I'm posting my thoughts into the ether, and that's bad in some ways, but having to organize Discord servers is just annoying, and I just don't have the mental capacity to engage in more than one like Discord forum. I find it, I'm exhausted by Discord. If I'm ever on it, I can't engage in it. I just find it overwhelming. Even in one server, my server has lots of different categories. I just simply can't engage in all of that. I don't have the capacity to do it. But Twitter, you can just fucking post your thoughts into the ether. You don't have to worry about that shit. And gender abolitionism, yes. So the masculinity video, that it was a deliberate thing that I walked right up to the question of gender abolitionism, because it's one that it's a question that I think I need to do more work to figure out fully my position on it, because I think that there's the two issues with gender, not issues, but the two sort of directions in which I approach gender abolitionism is, first of all, is like gender abolitionism as a critique of post-structural views of, hello Lost Futures, how's it going? As a critique of post-structuralist views of gender, and of, particularly in the case of the video, of masculinity, where the post-structuralists have argued themselves that they are eschewing an overall logic of masculinity or of gender by disaggregating different types of masculinities amongst a broad ether. And I think there's just like a problem with their analytical work there, because they've not bothered, they've not asked the question, what connects masculinities, and why are they masculinities if they're disaggregated identities? And I think that leads you to a question of gender abolitionism, just analytically. But there is I think this somewhat goes back to the questions we were talking about earlier about utopianism versus a praxis of the moment, and this is one of those cases in which both a utopian ideal of gender abolitionism interacts very closely with a praxis of like anti-patriarchy, because it's really hard to imagine a world without gender. We have many different types of masculinities that exist, and we're fine with that, but like even trying to envisage a world in which there is no such thing as a masculinity is difficult to do. But I kind of think we need to do that if we're to overcome any sort of biological essentialism. So as a I'm not ready to pin my position straight up and say I'm a gender abolitionist, because I've not fully, I just don't think I've fully interrogated the question well enough. But it's a tendency that I find myself having a lot of sympathy for. So that's kind of my position of it, and it's why in the masculinity video, why I framed it as a proposition for the audience to ask and interrogate themselves, because I wasn't ready to give an answer on that, but I think it's something that people need to be thinking about, and people being me. So that's sort of my feeling of it. Someone asked a question on what do I think could be good steps to integrate people with autism, mental disabilities better into online communities. So I don't have answers for that question. My only thing to say to that question is that I think it's formulated in slightly the wrong way, and rather it should be what can platforms and communities do to be more accessible to people with autism and mental disabilities, rather than what can we do to integrate people more, because that's the question of disability politics fundamentally, is how accessible are platforms and spaces for people with disabilities. I don't have the answer to that question right now, unfortunately, but that's what I would say. And Birdie's right, it should be asking disabled people. That's a conversation that is led by disabled people for how these platforms could be made more accessible. I mean, fundamentally, they're not going to be in any way accessible while they are still owned by billionaires. That, like, Elon Musk is not going to make Twitter more accessible. It's something that has to be led by disabled people themselves, and it's one of the reasons why online communities have to be democratized, and why we have to take a radical anti-corporatist stance. That was something else I was meaning to talk about today, actually, was the free speech dimension of Twitter being taken over by Elon Musk, but I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, okay. There's no more questions, so we might as well talk about it now. So, the free speech, the Twitter, Elon Musk has fired all of the accessibility people. Yeah. Fucking not a great start. So this notion Elon Musk had when he bought Twitter, and he was like, comedy is legal again. Finally, we're doing free speech. And I made a short TikTok about free speech and Elon Musk, and it was one of the most frustrating. I get frustrated by responses to videos. It's not abuse. Abuse I can handle. Don't give a fuck about people calling me names or threatening me. Whatever. But people deliberately misunderstanding things gets to me in such a really fucking annoying way. Like, I still get it from the Adam Conover video, where people people still comment being like, you don't understand, John, he's just trying to make people like the state, and not think of doing libertarian right-wing stuff. And it's like, yeah, I know he's doing that, and that's why I'm criticising him, because I think that's not a good thing. Did you not understand that? I don't even think it's sea lioning. I think it's just people not fundamentally not getting what I'm saying and then replying. It's just annoying. But I did that with a free speech thing. I did a wee free speech video where I was like, Elon Musk buying Twitter is one of the worst things. Like, it's a paradigmatic example of how fucked free speech is, because this space, which is essentially a digital commons, can be bought and run into the ground by someone with $44 billion. In this instance, control of that space in terms of like what slurs you can say doesn't even seem to be the biggest issue. The biggest issue is just he's going to tank the platform, and suddenly this big digital town square is going to not exist anymore because of the whims of this one really powerful individual. And that has huge implications for how we should approach free speech and digital commons going forward, because tens of millions of people suddenly not having the ability to express themselves and talk to each other in a public forum is a massive failure of free speech. Not in the way of like people, who gives a fuck about like banning folk for saying slurs, because suddenly everyone who's not saying slurs is also banned for no reason other than the platform doesn't exist anymore. So I made this like 1 minute TikTok saying this, and I had people being like, I think you'll find free speech actually only applies to government speech. And I'd just be like, what? Why would you tell me that? What do you think? What relevance is that to what I say? Do you think I care about the letter of the law of the US Constitution? First of all, I'm not American, so write that down, jot that one down. Secondly, even if I was, fuck the Constitution. And I had all these people being like, oh yeah, no, this is why we should be free speech absolutists, and we should be really against companies like Twitter banning slurs and banning abuse, because the next step is them banning left-wing speech. And it's like, no, this is we people on the left should not be concerned with platforms banning slurs. I'm not gonna kick up I'm not Ben Burgess. I'm not gonna kick up a fuss about the Twitter banning the N-word. That's fine and good. If I was in charge of a platform, I too would ban the use of the N-word. The problem is that one person has the control. And if you're so worried about saying slurs that you're not talking about the corporate structure and ownership of these spaces, and still you call yourself a fucking left-winger or a communist, then you need to fucking look yourself in the mirror. That was something that annoyed me recently. I like the contrast between this very chill music and me being very annoyed about racists. Yeah, and well, the regurgitating hegemonic stuff was particularly bad for the video on Adam Conover. because that I got one recently. I left the swimming pool the other day, looked at my phone and saw this fucking comment on an old YouTube short I'd done, which was a clip from the Adam Conover video about the GPS, and me saying it's bad that the US has immense control over world GPS. That's a bone-chillingly terrifying thing. And someone replied to that short saying, well, it's better than it being would you prefer it was owned by a corporation? The US is probably the best case scenario for owning GPS. Sure, it's made by them and they might use it for war, but out of courtesy they let civilians in other countries use it. And I was just like, how? Why would you think that I would want corporations to control GPS? Why are these the two options? Why is it the imperialist, one of the most destructive states that has ever existed in the world, controlling this essential piece of infrastructure, or corporation? Why are these the two options that you accept? What? Why? Why are you posing me this question? It's so annoying. That's the most annoying type of comment that I get. That sort of stuff. Not the abuse. The abuse is fine. But that sort of shit annoys me so much. Yeah, they thought they had me. They thought, oh, this'll really get me. This'll really get John. And it's so common. That video is the most common. The two videos where I get that kind of comment are that video and the one on debate. That's the two most annoying comments. The ones which I get the most outright abuse are the masculinity one and the one on left-wing white supremacy from about like Vosh and Caleb Maupin and Peter Coffin and their whole ilk. I get a fair amount of not great comments on those two videos. A lot of people a lot of a particular type of man accusing me of being gay on the masculinity one. It's like, I almost kind of appreciate those comments because it's illustrating my point quite effectively of your reaction to someone trying to deconstruct the notion of masculinity is to call them gay. I think it's kind of metatextual, that kind of abuse. They just think, yeah, I mean, I'm sure. They think it's metatextually hot though, not really hot. Alright. I'm gonna change up the tune. I'm gonna do a more upbeat tune to end on. So this is gonna be last tune. So think of last topics. We're gonna do upbeat. We're gonna get it funky. fucking hell, I've just seen my hair. Jesus Christ. Fucking quaffing it up. Yeah, so here we are, drawing to the end of the stream. Hope we've all had a good time. And unless anyone's got any more burning questions or topics in the next 5 minutes, we'll draw it to a close there with a nice bit of fun dance music. It's always fun. I enjoy these streams so much. It's always a good time. Always a good vibe. Nice to chat with folk. Make some silly tunes. Just have a good time. Why do I think the Black Israelite discussion got so much traction? Because someone who was very, very famous was very anti-Semitic. That's basically it. I mean, the reasons in which a famous black person gets the anti-Semitism of a famous black person gets amplified is clearly. I mean, I don't think it's as a trick. It's because things are white supremacist. And like this particular history of anti-Semitism, which is, I mean, I don't think it's a mystery. It's been described by lots of people for a long time, and the origins of that particular brand of anti-Semitism. People like what's his name? Oh, it's terrible. How have I forgotten his name? That writer, Notes of a Native Son. Give me a second. James Baldwin. James Baldwin has written a lot on the reasons why there's particular amounts of anti-Semitism within black communities. It's not particularly like the notion that anti-Semitism is particular and exaggerated within black communities is obviously false. It's not true. The anti-Semitic tendencies within that there are anti-Semitic parts of black communities is exaggerated in basically a defense of white people and as a tool to further racism towards black people. Which is fucking grim. But I think the reason why this particular round of anti-Semitism has got a lot of traction is because Kanye West is one of the most famous people in the world and he was horrendously anti-Semitic. That I don't think there's much more to it than that. I don't think it's a mystery. Have I ever taught a class? I've taught classes before, yeah. I've taught classes on, unsurprisingly, I've taught classes on neoliberalism and human rights. I've taught research methods classes. I'm teaching a class on globalization on Wednesday, which is going to be quite fun, because the next video that we've got coming out, you should read James Baldwin. James Baldwin's really good. So the next video I've got coming out is on globalization, and the reason I'm doing it is because the assigned reading for the class that I'm teaching is really, really bad. For anyone who read, if anyone's a patron in the chat, and if anyone read the critique I did, I posted a like 3,000 word sort of critique of this paper that was one of the essential readings for the class I'm teaching next week. It's really, really bad. So the video that I'll hopefully release next week is built off that work. So it's unlikely that any of the students watch me, because I teach, my university is really small. It's only postgraduates. I think there's only 5 people in this year's class, and none of them have watched. I've met them before. None of them have watched me. I do know that a previous master's student did follow me on Twitter and used to send my tweets to my supervisor. And when the Vosh left-wing white supremacy video came out, I tweeted like, "Man, I can't believe these people are being so fucking mad to me." Some like random shit about the abuse. And this person sent it to my supervisor. My supervisor was like, "John, are you alright? Someone said you're getting a bunch of abuse on Twitter." And I was like, "What? Nah, I'm good. I'm fine. Don't worry about me." Don't worry. Yeah, they just said, like, not in a malicious way, just being like, "Have you seen what John's talking about right now?" Which was quite funny. So my supervisor was like, he came up to him and was like, "Yeah, what's all this stuff about you getting racist? Like abuse from racists?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it, Damien, it's fine." But now my supervisor knows about my YouTube channel, and he's been going up to members of the department and referring to me as a social media superstar. And I had this absurd conversation with some senior members of our department at the university about they were like, "Oh, John, we really want to get the department blog. We want more traffic on the department blog, and Damien told us that you're really big on social media. So can you give us some advice on how to make this blog successful?" And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think that my brand of social media will fit well with the institute's fucking social media strategy. Like, I don't think you want my last viral tweet was some fucking bullshit joke. That's not gonna work for the institute's fucking internal blog. But I had one member of staff is like lovely woman, very quite mad, and like very like eccentric women, and was like, "John, we're gonna get you to write a blog post for the department, and that'll really help us." And I was like, "All right, I guess I can think about something to do with that. I don't really know what I would write about." And she was like, "Just write about something social media and environmental related." And I was like, "Social media and environmental related? I don't. What do you mean? I guess I'll think about it." And she said, "No, you won't think about it, John. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it." And I was like, "Well, I guess I'm fucking doing it then." I've still not done it, but I guess I'm doing it. But no, it's a very different set of skills. Right, we will call it a day there. Did you do it? I've not done it yet. I do have an idea though. I mean, if we're going to talk about social media and environmentalism, something like the increasing, like the sort of foreclosing of public spaces by things like Elon Musk buying Twitter is probably really bad for environmentalism, because protests are often organised on Twitter, and Twitter is kind of a unique platform for doing that stuff. You can't do it on Facebook. You can't really do it on TikTok or on Instagram. I don't know anything about Mastodon, but probably not. So that I think there is something there that I can write about, but I've not done it yet. But anyway, yeah, thanks for coming along, everyone. I will, as ever, leave you with like a couple minutes of music while we set off. Catch you later.